Shalom, 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 Yerushalayim. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey!
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey!
Shabbat,
Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey! Shabbat, Shalom. Hey! Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Pretty good. I heard Mark Feinberg and maybe two others. Let's try again. Shabbat Shalom. Good, good. Welcome, everybody. What a wonderful occasion to be together. Shabbat and this month of Adar for such a great occasion. Welcome, members. Welcome, guests. Welcome, Honey Circle. Welcome, volunteer. A couple reminders. One, we have our Shalom Sanctuary back there, our alternative prayer environment. And if anybody needs a break from services, that's a good place to go. And not just Mark, other people too. Okay. Under your seat, if you reach under, you're going to pull out a blue book that says Mishkan Tefillah. If you pull out a blue book that says the Torah, throw it back. You got the wrong one. Okay? Mishkan Tefillah, that's what we're using this evening. And we'll call out page numbers as we go, as usual. This is a highly participatory service. Snaps, claps, la-la-las. God understands la-la-las just fine. Emergency exits, just take a look around and see where the emergency exits are in case we need to leave in a hurry. Take a moment, if you will, and turn off your smartphones, turn off your Apple Watches. Remember, if you get a call in the middle of the service, I get to answer it. And that is fun for everybody. Okay, so please do turn off your cell phones. A few special guests tonight. We have our Honey Circle members. Thank you, Honey Circle. We really, really appreciate you. We have John Paulson and Mary Paulson here. John is Sandy Springs Council, District Number 1. John, where are you? Saw you walk in. There he is. Okay. John is the Sandy Springs Council member for Temple Emanu-El. He takes care of us. Thank you, John, for being here and for worshiping with us. John will be available at the Oneg afterwards if anybody wants to ask him why the stoplights aren't working or whatever it is. Okay. Steve Bradshaw, where's Steve? Okay, my friend Steve. Steve is the County Board of Commissioners District 4, running for DeKalb CEO, with us here to worship tonight. Give a wave, Steve, so we know who you are. Thank you, Steve, for being here. And Steve will be available after services at the Oneg as well. Okay, so some introductions. Soloist Jessica Tillum. I'm Rabbi Spike Anderson. Let's take a moment or two or three. Turn to the people around you. Hello, my name is. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom. Really, let's take a minute.
Shalom Alechem, Emanu Shalom Alechem, Emanu Shalom Alechem, Emanu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Alechem.
Okay, and if everybody can find your feet on the ground, feel your feet on the ground, sit up a little straighter in your chairs. We are going to take 3 deep breaths together. First breath in together to connect us with this place and this space and this time. Deep breath in. We let it out. Second breath connecting us with Jews the world over, bringing in Shabbat. Deep breath in. And our third breath connects us with all living creatures. Together. Deep breath in, and we let it out. Our plan for the evening is to have a wonderful, deep, lively Shabbat service. In the course of the service, we will call up a small group, one at a time, of really dedicated volunteers who've gone above and beyond with their volunteering and in doing so, raised this congregation up with them. None of them are doing it because they want to see their names in neon or bright lights. For many of them, I had to really beg to make sure that they did get honored. But it's important to lionize those who are taking a step up with mitzvot, with volunteering, with reaching out into the world. It's an inspiration for us all. The award that they're going to be handed, one at a time, is the Shirley Schiffer Zikaron Lebracha Award. Now, Shirley Schiffer, who was the late wife of Ed Schiffer, was a wonderful person, and she lived a life of joy and mitzvot, helping those who needed it. And in her spirit, it is very appropriate to give this award to who? Our most dedicated volunteers, and the tremendous Torah that emits from Temple Emanu-El in her memory. Helping me to present the awards is Ed Schiffer, Shirley's husband. Ed, where are you? Okay, come on up. He's going to hang out here with me for the service. Like Shirley did, and Ed, what you continue to do, we bring light and joy and connection into so many lives of Jews and friends in the community with everything we do. So thank you, Ed, and in Shirley's memory, thank you as well. So friends, we're going to rise for our candle lighting on page 120. I'm going to ask Robin Zussman to come on up. Robin, we Jews have been bringing light into the darkness since time began as we know it, and we symbolically recall this every Shabbat as we ritually light the Sabbath candles, and in doing so, remind ourselves of how we can be, our community, and the world. So if you'll light each of these. And together we bring in the light and the warmth and all that Shabbat love and get ready for our bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechad likner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And please be seated. Robin, you come up here with me, though. If you'll stand right here and just face me. So, Robin, our next prayer is Shalom Aleichem, where we welcome the Shabbat angels into our home, and in doing so, recognize the sacredness of sacred community and connecting with one another. Your work this year with Lori Goldberg and your Havarah committee makes you the embodiment of the Shalom Aleichem prayer. When I came to Temple Emanu-El, one of the things that I was very surprised and pleasantly surprised about is that there was an active Havarah system. The Havarah system means fellowship, and it's something that was big in the 70s and 80s in the Jewish community, and then it sort of went the way of the dodo for the most part. So to come here 9 years ago and see 20 or so active Havarot, it was like finding a triceratops. It was great. And this is, of course, based on our Christian friends, some of whom have realized that if you have a church of 1,000, what you really have is 100 groups of 10. It's community within the community. Of course, Havarah goes way, way back in the Jewish tradition. Havarah is a way of creating wonderful relationships within the greater community. And Robin, your work this year with so many moving parts and considerations and personalities and social engineering has yielded 19 new Havarot this year and counting. That's a very big deal. And it's so important to Temple Emanu-El in the spiritual lives of our congregation. If anybody here would like to join a Chavurah, please see Robin after services. So I'm going to ask a couple groups to rise now. If you are part of the current Chavurah committee, I'd ask you to rise and remain standing. No, hold applause, because we're... If you are Robin's family, please join the group that's standing and rise. Okay. And if you're part of Robin's Chavurah, I would ask you to rise as well. Okay. Robin, for your embodiment of the Shalom Aleichem prayer, we are proud to present to you the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. We're all going to rise now, and if you'd like to light your own candles for Shalom Aleichem, we invite you to do so as we invite the Shabbat angels into our lives.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashavim, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Koachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ya lai lai la lai lai ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 lai
Okay, please be seated, except for Stacy Bedsole. Stacy, come on up. Stacy, our next prayer is Lecha Dodi, written in that beautiful mountain city of Sfat in northern Israel. This acrostic prayer was created by the Lurianic Kabbalists. The prayer links the Jewish people with the Sabbath and with the land of Israel itself. Stacy, this past summer you volunteered to chaperone 27 17-year-olds to Israel with a Schiffer teen family trip. Now, most people would have called you crazy for wanting to do that, but it was an experience of a lifetime for you, for them, for me, for all of this. And this was with the Schiffer family trip. And again, our hope is that we're running it again this summer. Your courage to take such a large group of teens was highlighted by the fact that you yourself hadn't been to Israel, and your connection was all the deeper for it. Having Israel be a part of this congregation's Jewish identity and making it beloved in the heart of our teens is literally holy work. So I'm going to ask a couple groups to rise. If you were on the Israel trip with Stacy this past summer, will you please rise and just stay standing? If you're part of Stacy's family, would you please rise? And if you've been to Israel in the last year, I would ask you to rise. Stacy, for your embodiment of the Lechado Di prayer, we are proud to present you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. Lechado Di can be found on page 138.
Lechado Di likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmiyanu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litchina.
Here we go.
Lechado Di, Lechado Di likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado Di likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We rise and face the door.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala, Lechado Di, Lechado Di likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado Di likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Please be seated, except for Emily Sanders. Come on up. Emily, our next prayer is the Barhu. Hi. The prayer where we acknowledge that we are warmed up and ready to move forward with our spiritual journey through worship. It's a prayer that implies Hineni. Here I am. I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to move up and take people with me. Emily, all through this past year, you have stood up in a major way, leading us in all of our endowment efforts. You lead the committee to make sure that our present endowment is invested wisely, and you're co-leading, along with Elliot Siegel, our efforts to grow Temple Emanu-El's endowment so that this place, this incredible synagogue, is safe and healthy long after we are all gone. Your efforts connect us with the immortality of the Jewish dream, its mission, and the Torah that emanates from this place. If you are part of the endowment committee here at Temple Emanu-El, please rise. If you're part of Emily's family, please rise. If you're part of our endowment program or our Honey Circle Life and Legacy program, please rise. Emily, your leadership makes the embodiment of the Barhu prayer. Not only do you rise, but you empower us all to rise as well. And tonight we are proud to present you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. And with that, I would ask that you join everyone who's standing. We're all going to rise for Baruch Hu on page 146.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. Evening is upon us, the stars are in the sky, the moon is rising high, roll into dark is on your back, inside cover.
Roll into dark,
roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreor v'layla, Boreor mipnei choshech, Boreor mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Here we go. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Page 152, Shema.
Shema
Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated except for Hannah Diaz and Aiden Seskin. Come on up, guys. There you go. Hi. Hannah and Aiden, our next prayer is the V'ahavta, which is part of the Shema. It's the prayer that talks about teaching and learning, both of which are sacred in Judaism. It's the prayer which acknowledges that transmitting Jewish values and being God-centric doesn't just happen. It takes effort. It requires frequent attention. The V'ahavta prayer reminds us that we have reminders in our lives, that we have a best self, an inspirational version of who we can be. We place those reminders around us to help us refocus when we get distracted or misled. The mezuzah on the door, the synagogue, Jewish books, Judaica, and of course, schools. Hannah and Aiden, for years, you've been teaching our youngest kids at the Diamond Family Religious School. Every Sunday, you come in, and you're kind, and you're enthusiastic, and incredible exemplars for hundreds of Jewish kids. Every Sunday, you take time out of your incredibly busy schedules. Not only are you both in high school, but you're both serious competitors, cheer and gymnastics. And you take time every Sunday to be here to work with our kids and be an example. Not every teenager has that type of priority or commitment, but you do. Hannah, I've watched how you interact. Those kids are drawn to you and your charisma and your love for the Jewish people. The way that you interact with them and your peers and your teachers and your rabbis. I got to know Hannah's enthusiasm for the Jewish people when we were on this Israel trip together. And Hannah and I and 25 or 26 others were getting ready to raft down the mighty Jordan River, which is a trickle, it's a stream. So we're in our various boats, and we get the instructions from the people who are running it that not allowed to splash, and you got to keep your paddles in your boat, and don't leave your boat. And we said, And we got on the river, and of course I started splashing people right away. And within 2 minutes, Hannah had just launched herself out of this boat into a boat of total strangers. And that set the party going. It was really wonderful. So Hannah, your enthusiasm and your charisma is infectious, and the fact that you're an exemplar for our kids is nothing short of amazing. Aiden, the confidence that you exhibit in yourself and in your Judaism is a gift that draws people to you. The way you carry yourself, the way you have a presence. And I see it when I watch you with the younger ones. Those kids are going to relate much better to you than they do to a middle-ager like me. And I see it again and again and again. Yesterday, Aiden, you buried your grandfather, Jeffrey, Zikaron Lebracha. And last night at Shiva, we heard lots and lots of stories of how he was as a person, that he was someone who loved to give and never expected in return, and relished in the opportunity to make people's lives better with small but very thoughtful acts. Well, Aiden, the apple does not fall so far from the tree. Clearly, he passed this quality on to you, and you are a tribute to your family and to your grandfather. If you are a madrachim in our Diamond Family Religious School or a teacher, please rise. If you are part of the family of either Hannah or Aiden, please rise. If you're a student at the Diamond Family Religious School, please rise. Hannah, Aiden, tonight, we are proud to present you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. So I've asked these two to lead us in V'ahavta, which everybody will find on page 154? 154. So the folks who are standing, you can sit. Okay, come on nice and close, guys. We're all going to do this together. 1, 2, 3.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך וביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך וחומך, ושרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
Adonai Elechem Emet. Thanks, guys. I'd like to invite up Libby Pollock. Come on up to the bema. Libby, our next prayer is Michamocha, a prayer that celebrates the Exodus story. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, Mitzrayim, that narrow place where we had no options. God, through Moses, showed us the way out, a way forward, passing through the split sea of reeds until we found freedom at last on the other side. The story that oftentimes goes along with this is not just the one we find in Passover, but perhaps the most overused midrash in Judaism about Nachshon ben Ammidav. Actually, come on down here. We're going to tell the story this way. So for 3 days, we're traveling, and finally we get to the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea. And all we've brought with us is the proverbial kid in each hand, samovar on the back. And here we are at the Sea of Reeds, and Pharaoh changes his mind again and sends the most powerful army in the world to go get us. And we probably smelt it before we saw it, all of those horses and the chariots. And so Moses is there, and the people say to him, Moses, did you bring us out of Egypt just to die in the desert? It's sarcasm in the Torah. Now, Moses gives a very rabbinic answer. He says, you need to pray. Then he turns to God and he says, and I'm paraphrasing, ah! And God says to Moses, don't just stand there, tell the people to move forward. Okay, this is all Torah. Okay? So now, enter the Midrash. The Midrash is the story between the story about this one person. You're going to see where I'm going with this in a second. Nachshon ben Ammidav. Nachshon was a guy, just a regular guy, but he was also a leader in the community. Okay? And he decides that even though it appears that there's no options, he's actually going to try and do something, and he takes one big step forward. So will you take a nice big step forward here? Here, let's make this the Sea of Reeds. Step that way. There you go. One big to start. So the important thing that happens is two things. One, he decides to do something, to try. And the other thing is that everybody sees him doing it because everyone's lined up against the ocean. And as he takes the step in, people seeing him, you please get up, sees him, and they say, okay, we're going to take a step also. So right behind Libby, take a step forward. There you go. And the folks come right behind him. And another step. There you go. And now, there you go, up you go. You see where this is going? That's right. Okay, so Libby, stop there. So according to the Midrash, Nachshon keeps on taking steps forward until the water is up to here. And at that point, the entire people, all of the Jews, were in the water. And then, and only then, does the sea split. Okay, we can have a seat. Libby, come on back up here with me. In other words, you can read this as we force the miracle. Only when enough people were taking the lead from the ones who wanted to try did reality shift. So Libby, the Nachshon story in some ways reflects your own. Last March 5th, you were coming to TE. And on the back of Marina Alberhaski's car was a bumper sticker that said, "Kidney for Izzy." The bumper sticker was a prayer of sorts put out by Isabella's family, praying that somebody would see it and be a match for a kidney donation to save her life. Libby, hundreds, maybe thousands of people saw that bumper sticker, but very few reached out to Izzy's family about how to get tested. You were one of them. It turns out that you weren't the perfect match for Izzy, and thank God she did eventually find a match. In fact, she's here tonight in the sanctuary. But your inquiry led you to make a decision that you were going to donate one of your kidneys because you could save someone's life. And you did. In early January, you underwent surgery to donate a kidney to a total stranger, someone in Colorado, as it turns out, and it was a success. The Talmud says, if you save a life, it's as if you have saved a universe, meaning that the life that you save has the universe of people around them who love them and with whose existence future generations are dependent on their well-being. Libby, your courage has allowed a universe to exist. And for this reason, you are the embodiment of the Mi Chamocha prayer. So I would ask for Libby's family to please rise. And would Isabella and family please rise? And I'd ask anyone who has been affected by organ donation to rise. Libby, like Nachshon, you inspire us to move forward against what seems to be impossible. And for that, we are very proud to present you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. Mi Chamocha, page 158.
Mi chamocha ba'ili Madonai, mi chamocha ne'edar b'kodesh.
Mi chamocha ba'ili Madonai, mi chamocha ne'edar b'kodesh. Norat tehilot seiferet.
Harriet Zoller, come on up, please. Harriet, our rabbis instruct us that anytime we come together, we are obligated to pray for peace. Peace in our own hearts, peace amongst neighbors, and peace amongst nations. The prayer for peace is meant to gird us to the reality that peace is possible, but that it takes a tremendous amount of work. That peace is fragile and takes effort to build up and time. In other words, peace does not just happen. I remember shortly after I arrived at Temple Emanu-El, you spoke to me about a brilliant teacher you had just finished up with at a continuing ed class named Kamal Budek. You thought he would be a great speaker to have at Temple Emanu-El to talk to us about Islam, and you were right. Through your relationship with Kamal, you built a bridge between Temple Emanu-El and the Istanbul Cultural Center. Soon after, we added a third leg to the interfaith triangle with our Presbyterian friends at St. Luke's. Your efforts and the relationships you have helped foster have allowed the three Abrahamic faiths to find common ground here in Atlanta. Because of what you started and what you continue to do, we host them for Sukkot and go to St. Luke's for Advent service, and then it's off to the Istanbul Cultural Center for the Iftar feast during Ramadan. The food is outstanding, but the company that we keep with one another through your continued leadership is sacred. If you have participated in any of the interfaith events with St. Luke's Press or the Istanbul Cultural Center, the Interfaith Triangle at TE, would you please rise? I'd ask Harriet's family to please rise. And anybody involved with interfaith or interrace dialogue through Temple Emanu-El, I'd ask you to rise. Harriet, in our tradition, you are known as a Rodef Shalom, one who pursues peace even when it's hard. And so we are proud to present you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. Hashkivenu, page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom lehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai
Eloheinu leshalom
lehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmoit seiteinu uvoeinu lechaim ushalom mi'ata v'Adonai.
Here we go. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom lehamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Lehamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Davida Steinberg. Where are you, Davida? Davina, at a moment, will pray Vishamru, our prayer which celebrates the sweetness of Shabbat. This year, Davida, you have brought sweetness to Temple Emanu-El by introducing beehives and beekeeping to our campus. Our volunteers suit up to tend the hives and then harvest honey produced right here at Temple Emanu-El. Isn't that the perfect metaphor for the Torah that emanates from this place? Our sages talk about Torah, studying it, and living our Jewish lives as something to be nourished and enjoyed for the sweetness it brings to our days and to our lives. I'm not sure if introducing bees to our garden and beekeeping to our community makes us absolutely unique among synagogues, but I am sure that it makes our cool factor raise 3 or 4 levels. Your inspiration has inspired the TE mantra for the year 5784 for Temple Emanu-El to be Temple Emanu-El, sweet as honey. You've inspired congregants to stretch their limits, and you are affectionately known at TE as the Queen Bee. If you were one of Temple Emanu-El's beekeepers, please rise. Davida's family, please rise. If you've tasted the honey from the Temple Emanu-El hives, please rise. Davida, our queen bee, you embody Vishamru, and for that, we are glad to present you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. Vishamru, page 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
And last but not least, I'd like Deb Pearlstein and Nancy Gluby to come up together. Deb and Nancy, where are you? There's Nancy. And there's Deb. Excellent. Deb and Nancy, on Yom Kippur each year, we hear the Haftarah from Isaiah the prophet, who gives us some pretty hard words, a real challenge for the Jewish community, and we hear it every year right here in this sanctuary, chanted with the Haftarah melody. Is this not the fast I've chosen, says Isaiah, in God's name, to give bread to the hungry, to bring homeless into your home, and to provide for those who are shivering naked in the cold? God goes on to say through Isaiah's words that if we Jews are not actively doing these things, helping the homeless, clothing the naked, and feeding the hungry, if they are not a priority for us as individuals and as a people, then God tells us that our Yom Kippur fasting and prayers are worthless. Don't bother with the fasting and the pounding of the chest and the prayers and the Al Chet Shekatanus if you are not actively helping those in your midst who are in need. This leads, of course, to the Jewish mission, or refers to the Jewish mission of Tikkun Olam, this idea that God has tapped us as a people. Now, again, whether you believe it or not, we've been telling each other this for 4,000 years. God's tapped us to do what? Take the world from a place that is broken and make it whole. A world that's sick and help heal it. A place without justice and bring justice into it. It's the grand Jewish mission. It's the work of every Jewish generation, and it is the life's purpose, or part of it, of every Jew, to do her or his part to move that proverbial needle. You two took the initiative to help expand our Tikkun Olam program to CAC South. There, the Community Assistance Center set up a program to help feed our neighbors who are hungry and to give them services they wouldn't otherwise get and would need. It would have been easy to say, we're already doing some things, we don't need to do more. But the two of you said, this is something that we can sink our teeth into, we can bring friends and community to it, and we can, every other Wednesday, spend a morning feeding people who would otherwise be hungry. That's a very big deal. The words of Isaiah on Yom Kippur, whether conscious or not, Nancy and Deb, you've taken to heart and allowed this congregation to do the most serious of mitzvot. This type of charity, say our rabbis, is equal to all the other mitzvot put together. So, if you've worked with Deb and Nancy at CAC South, I'd ask you to rise. Hang on, don't clap yet. Now, Nancy and Deb's family, would you please rise? If you've been part of CAC at all, south or north, in the last year, I'd ask you to rise. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Nancy, for leading us in Tikkun Olam, making the world a better place through our conscious acts and our sacrifices of time. And for that, we are very proud to present each of you with the Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award. We all now rise for the Amidah on page 164.
Adonai sivatai tiftachu fi hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim v'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, u'midom elach, melech meimid u'mekayeh, u'masmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yaluch hasela, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We'd ask that you continue your Amidah silently, either with the prayers of your prayer book or the words of your heart. And when you feel that your prayer is complete, I'd encourage you to have a seat. Traditions evolve in congregations. Shirley Schiffer, Zikron Lebracha, had a favorite song, which was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I think it was her favorite song for most, if not all, of her life. And I remember being with Cantor Desnick in Shirley's final weeks, having Cantor sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow to Shirley to give her comfort. And that's part of this service, that we hear Shalom, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and in doing so, bring cross sacred memory.
Way up high. that's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
Beautiful. So I've asked my wife, Marita Anderson, to come up. This is my last Friday night Shabbat service for a couple months. I'm about to head off on a couple months sabbatical. You all won't even miss me. By the time you turn around, I'll be back. But it is customary to be blessed by the congregation. Oh, sorry.
So Spike asked me to come up and facilitate a blessing for him. And what I really wanted to do was share some words of Torah, and all I can think about were geese. The geese are returning back to the area. And there was a time when Aunt Sherry, who's here with us tonight, sent me a teaching about some things we can learn from flocks of geese about leadership. And one of the things that we can learn from geese about leadership is when they are migrating and they have to traverse long distances. They travel in a V shape, as we all know, because we can see them returning home, or we consider it as home. And there's a lot that we can learn from them. First of all, they travel in formation, kind of like a congregation. They have a purpose and they have a leader, but that leader will often take a step back or take a flight back and be replaced by someone else in order to rest. And I feel like tonight was such a beautiful example of how this congregation operates, that every committee is led by lay leaders. Every project that happens here has a lay person who is taking a step forward, and sometimes they take a step back so someone else can lead. I think that's a really beautiful example of what the type of leadership that Temple Emanu-El exhibits. And now it is time for, our goose leader to take a rest and take a step back. And there are amazing leaders who can take his place. And I will share a few words of Torah as well. So the blessing that we're about to give to Spike, which is a priestly benediction, comes from Parsha Naso. The word Naso means to count, to be counted, as in a census, right? So here we are, we have all been counted tonight. Many of us have stood up and said, yes, I was there, I took part in that. Naso also means to lift up. It has two meanings in the Hebrew language. And when I asked Spike, when we were first talking about his passion, what he wanted to do with his life, as he entered rabbinic school and wanted to become a rabbi, and I asked him, why are you doing this? And he said, it's because I want to be of service, and I want to be a part of a community that I can help lift up and be uplifted by them. And I believe that this is the manifestation of that dream. The word naso also means, you actually may know this word because it has come into our custom, our culture. If you've ever seen a bride be lifted at the wedding, right? So like when there's a wedding and the groom will lift the bride up, the Hebrew word for marriage, to be married, is naso, nisui. To be married is to lift each other up. And in the way that we have a covenant together and you lift me up and we lift each other up, in the same way this community is lifted and we are uplifted by you. And these very words we're going to use tonight in a blessing that we give to Spike. May God's face turn toward you. May God's face be lifted toward you as you take a rest and you reconnect with what is important to you and hear the divine call and just rest. So you may wonder, who am I to give Spike a blessing, right? He's the one who's supposed to be blessing. But actually, in the Torah, it says we are all a nation of priests. We're empowered. Judaism is a democratic kind of religion in that way. We're empowered to bless each other and to bless our leaders too. So if you want to start the blessing, we can, I invite you to stand up. And in a way that our tradition has offered blessings for generations, I ask you to offer whatever is on your heart to Rabbi Spike, to my beloved, to the one who has lifted so many of us so often. May we lift him with these words. You can put your hands out just to send him these blessings. May God bless you and protect you. May God's face turn toward you and be gracious to you. May God's face rise towards you and grant you the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace, shalom v'shalom.
Amen. When we Jews experience sacred time, we say Shehechianu. Thank you, God, for this moment in time that we're here or that we're together, we're experiencing this type of thing. May we have this type of experience together again and again and again. Please join us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Please be seated. We're entering the final lap of our service, getting ready for our Misha Berach prayer. Our Misha Berach prayer is the one where we ask for a healing of mind, of body, of soul, of relationship. We offer up the prayer, of course, for our captives in Gaza. We ask that they be cared for and protected and brought home to us as whole as they can be as soon as possible. The congregation asks for Misha Berach for Rob Gilbert, Charlie Cohn, Kashka Miskoji, Aaron Silverman, Jeff Syme, Evan Alberhaski, Ali and Zoe Diaz, Zvi Ben Natan, Ken Schiffer, Karnina Michal Bat Yitzchak Vatova, Jennifer Herman, Mark Lodinger, Yehudit Bat Yocheved, Aharon Ben Batya, Jeff Crispo, Barbara Shalef, Ethan Berkowitz, Craig Spector, and Ivan Burzak. If you would like to say a Misha Bera for someone in your life, and it could be you in need of a healing. Please say their names either out loud or in your hearts when my eyes meet yours. Thank you. 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 Okay, thank you. 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 Okay, friends, as is the Minhag HaMakom, we rise, and if you're comfortable putting your arms around the folks next to you, we do so now as we pray Misha Bera together.
The courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe berach imotenu mekor habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Refuah Shlema. Please be seated. I'd like to call up board member Ellen Lindeman to share some words.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Ellen Lindeman. I am honored to be a member of the Board of Trustees and thrilled to be here tonight. It's one of my favorite services. And Marita, thank you. That was lovely. Welcome to all of our guests and congregants and people online. If you're here this evening and you're new or not a member, please introduce yourself, to the rabbi or to me or Jessica or anybody that you see wearing one of these tags. We'd love to get to know you. Thank you to our ushers, Brian Wertheim, Neil Lipsky, Mark Kudelman, and Peter Birnbaum. Please check the weekly Temple Emanu-El events and program emails. It comes out on Monday for more details on upcoming programs, with just a few. Uncovering the Hidden Messages of Purim, a new upcoming class with Rabbi Rachel starting February 27th. March 17th is the Sisterhood Tribe Hamantash and Bake. Sounds like fun. And then afterwards, Mickey and Noah Rosner are sponsoring the Atlanta Community Symphony Orchestra concert. The Purim Carnival with a Cause. If you know anybody with kids, it is a fun, fun time outside in the parking lot, lots of games, lots of great fun times, and lots of kids. And then mark your calendars for our third annual, gosh, it's hard to believe it's the third, Spring Forward Gala, which is April 13th. If you haven't signed up already, please do. Tickets are going fast, and it's going to sell out. So if you don't do it quick, you might miss. And then one more message. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by 3 congregants, and I want to share a minute about them. Norm Zoller, Carrie Rosenthal, and Art Katz, in honor of their birthdays. I know. Norm and Art are here. Could you please stand up? Unfortunately, Carrie is home with a cold. Hopefully, maybe you're looking online, Carrie. I hope so. But wait, it gets better. It's not just their birthdays. This year, the 3 of them represent collectively 250 birthday celebrations. And along with their much younger brides, 176 wedding anniversaries. And this is the best, 130 years plus as Temple Emanu-El members. Yeah. All 3 of them are proud past presidents of Temple Emanu-El. And also along with their wives, have over 100 collective years as vice presidents, board members, committee chairs, and fundraisers. Outside of TE, they have been volunteers, presidents, board chairs, board members of multiple other Jewish organizations, charitable, and many professional organizations. These guys don't sleep. All 3 of them are veterans, and they've served our country in war and peace, and they are also part of Temple Emanu-El's video history library. If you haven't seen that video, you should look at it. It's great. And they have collectively asked that I relay their enormous gratitude for having all of you as Temple Emanu-El members and their second family, and make them welcome this as Temple Emanu-El as their second home. As a testament to tonight's honorees, who are all volunteers, special volunteers, and those who came before these 3 fine gentlemen and the folks we saw tonight, they said that, and those who came before them, we have learned through our 60-plus years of adulthood each, volunteering to do good gives much more back to you than you put into it. If you haven't tried volunteering at Temple Emanu-El or elsewhere, try it. If you are a volunteer, thank you, and keep it up. Thank you.
Okay, friends, ready for Kiddush, so please rise. If there are any kids here under 14 years old who have not yet had bar or bat mitzvah, come on forward. I know at least one. Maybe there's others. Well, I'll take one. And Jess will take one. So friends, we sanctify the day, we sanctify the community, we sanctify this sacred mission that we have with Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu zikaron l'maseh bereshit.
Ki hu yom techila lamikore kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim and the bracha, the life of blessings. Okay, are there any kids who want to come and open the ark with me? All right. Ellen and I are going to open the ark. Aleinu can be found on page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tein gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot hanama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamachim, hakadosh baruch hu, v'nemar v'haya Adonai, lemelech ol kol haaretz, vayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, ushemo echad. Please be seated. So the final thing that traditionally we do as part of our service is Mourner's Kaddish, which you'll find on page 598. We say Mourner's Kaddish as part of the service and at the end of the service because in doing so, we bring sacred memory of those who have passed and who we love very much and loved us in return. The rabbis say that when we say somebody's name in a particular time of year with Mourner's Kaddish, they have what's called an aliyat nefesh, an ascent of soul. And of course, psychiatrists and psychologists would say that we're just flooded by memory because of the time and saying the name. And of course, the two are not mutually exclusive. You can have both at the same time. Observing Shiva, the family of Jeff Wilkowski and Joe Reese, and Shloshim, the families of Herbert Germanot. Yard sites for this Shabbat for Ada Abelman, Edith Abrams, Sally Abramson, Jeff Albertson Sr., Ruth Ambinder, Sandra Apolinsky, Jeffrey Blass, Fred Cutler, Edith Fink, Edward Franco, Nathan Friedman, Rose Goldman, Hilda Goodelman, Mac Hanner, Loretta Holmes, David Katz, Richard Kotz, Sidney Lazarov, Alan Levine, Diane Lipsky, Edwin Locke, Walter Malice, Bert Marks, Barbara Miller, Samuel Miller, Beverly Miller, Sam Rosenberg, Carol Sandfield, Elizabeth Scholhofer Strauss, Harry Seitz, Richard Steinberg, Arlene Steinfeld, Morris Talansky, Reuben Turner, William Waxman, Rosalind Wells, George Wertheim. If you are in the first 30 days of mourning a loved one's passing, I ask you to rise now so we can recognize you. And please remain standing. If you're in the first year of mourning a loved one's passing, we ask you to rise now and be recognized. Please remain standing. If you're commemorating the yard site, the death anniversary of a loved one's passing this Shabbat, please rise now. And if it is your custom to rise in solidarity or for the 6 million who have no one to say Kaddish for them, please do so now. Take a moment, and if you want to flutter your eyes closed, picture the person you're saying Kaddish for. Picture them right next to you in your presence. See them healthy, hale, strong, vivacious. And in your mind's eye, see as they turn towards you and you turn towards them.
Your eyes meet theirs. Your gaze locks. And together, you slowly begin to smile. If your eyes are closed, you can flutter them open. Warner's Kaddish on page 598. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shmei Rabbah, V'yamah Divrach Hiroteh, V'yamlich Malchuteh, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayeh Dechol Beit Yisrael, V'galav V'zman Kariv V'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Amaya. Yit Barach, V'yishtabach, V'yit Pa'ar, V'yit Roman, V'yit Noseh. Vita Dar, Vita Le, Vita Lal Shmei Dukudsha Barichu, La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tush B'charta V'nechamata, Damiram B'yama V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Husei Shalom B'imru Mav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen.
Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody.